Chapter 1: Karma Has Terrible Taste. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was a chandelier the size of my self-esteem. Gaudy, gold, and entirely too much. The second thing I saw was my reflection in the floor-to-ceiling mirror across the room. Same face, same body, same author. Except, this wasn't my apartment. This was a villa. A very familiar villa. Oh no, my stomach dropped. The world spun. I scrambled to the side of the bed, nearly tripping on the silk sheets, and grabbed the novel lying on the nightstand. A novel with my name on the cover. Love and Chains. The Broken Wife. My novel. My trash. I flipped the pages, skimmed over the nonsense I'd once been so proud of, and wanted to vomit. The abusive husband. The pathetic crying spouse. The endless pregnancy-miscarriage cycle for emotional depth. My old editor had called it angsty brilliance. I now called it karmic punishment in 300 pages. And then the bedroom door opened. Get up. Breakfast is at 8. I froze. That voice. When I lifted my head, he was standing there. Tall, sharp-suited, and handsome enough to make anyone swoon. Except me, because I knew the truth. Oliver. My villain. My Scum Gong. The man who, in my novel, would sneer at his spouse, cheat with countless lovers, and throw his useless pretty-faced wife into the pit of despair. In other words, my nightmare made flesh. Oliver's eyes flicked over me with disdain. Don't expect me to be with you. If I touch you, I'm a dog. His lips curved in that exact line I'd written years ago. I blinked. Then, to my eternal shame, I nearly fist-pumped in relief. Perfect. Excellent. Exactly on script. If he thought I was disgusting, then divorcing him should be a piece of cake. I bit back a laugh and instead put on my most pitiful quiet spouse act. Of course, Oliver. I wouldn't dare. Inside, though, confetti, champagne, divorce papers, freedom. At breakfast, I sat at the long mahogany table. The food spread was ridiculous: eggs, bacon, pancakes, salmon, even a bloody roasted duck at 8 in the morning. I poked at a croissant. Oliver sat at the other end like a king, scrolling his phone. I rehearsed in my head. Step 1, draft divorce agreement. Step 2, hand it over. Step 3, he signs. Step 4, I move out and never again suffer through my own garbage writing. Simple, clean, elegant. Why aren't you eating? Oliver's voice snapped me out of my fantasy. I jumped. I am. He stared. I realized that in the novel, the spouse was supposed to fawn over him every morning, beg for affection, act like a desperate little housewife. Instead, here I was, nibbling a croissant like it might explode. Oliver frowned, clearly thrown off script. Strange. Strange? Strange? No, buddy. Strange is writing yourself into your own soap opera and then waking up inside it. After breakfast, I made my first move. I found pen and paper, sat at the massive glass desk in the study, and wrote out my shining ticket to freedom. Divorce Agreement 1.0. Assets. Keep your money. I'll keep my sanity. Custody. You can have your mistresses. I'll take the dog, if we ever get one. House, you keep this villa of horrors. I'll settle for a shoebox apartment. Netflix account, mine. Non-negotiable. I even drew little smiley faces in the margins because, hey, if I was going to get divorced, I might as well enjoy the paperwork. When Oliver came in, I slid it across the desk. Please sign here. He blinked. What is this? A divorce agreement. No need to thank me. You're free. I smiled sweetly. For a glorious half-second, I thought it would work. That he'd scoff, sign, and be rid of me. Instead, Oliver's jaw tightened. His eyes darkened. He picked up the paper, ripped it neatly in half, then into quarters, then tossed it into the trash. I gaped. What are you doing? Oliver leaned closer, his voice low. Don't joke with me. You think I'll let you go that easily? My heart stuttered. Wait, hold up. That wasn't in the script. In the original novel, he would have celebrated. He would have kicked me out with money shoved into my hands. But now, he looked offended, almost possessive. I swallowed hard. What the hell, Oliver? Don't improvise now. Stick to the trash, I wrote. That night, I lay awake in the huge, cold bed, staring at the ceiling. My thoughts were a tangled mess. On one hand, freedom was slipping through my fingers. On the other, Oliver seemed to be veering dangerously off script. Which was worse? I sighed. This is my punishment. My karma. I wrote suffering, and now I get to live it. Chapter 2, The Divorce Agreement That Refused to Die. When I woke up the next morning, I was armed. Not with a gun or a knife or anything remotely useful. No, I had a new divorce agreement. Divorce Agreement 2.0. If Oliver thought tearing up yesterday's masterpiece meant I would surrender, then he didn't know the depths of my stubbornness. After all, I was the author of this world, the scribe of suffering. Surely I could write myself a happy ending, right? I smoothed the papers, admiring the fine print. This time I'd gone legal style. Bullet points, clauses, even a spot for witness signatures. The crowning glory was at the bottom. By signing this agreement, both parties vow never to interfere in each other's future romantic pursuits. Amen. Oliver would have to sign. He had to. I waited until breakfast. Same ridiculous spread of food, same frosty atmosphere. Oliver scrolled through his phone like a CEO judging the world, while I buttered toast like a man preparing for execution. Cleared my throat. Oliver, I have something for you. He raised an eyebrow but didn't look up. If it's another attempt at conversation, spare me. I slid the document across the table. Not conversation. Liberation. His fingers paused mid-scroll. Slowly, he set down his phone. He picked up the papers, eyes skimming over the lines. His expression darkened with each bullet point. Finally, he looked at me, cold and sharp. Divorce. Yes, freedom. Independence. No more pretending. You hate me. I hate you. So let's sign and be on our way. I said brightly. His jaw flexed. You really think you can decide this? I blinked. Yes? That's how divorce works. 2 people, signatures, and boom. No more suffering. He tore it in half. Again. Right in front of me. I choked. What is wrong with you? Oliver leaned forward, voice low. Do you think marriage is a game? That you can write up a few lines and walk away? The irony almost killed me. Excuse me, sir. But yes, this entire marriage is a game. A very badly written one by yours truly. I bit my tongue. Out loud, I snapped. You were the one who said touching me would make you a dog. If you're that disgusted, why keep me here? His eyes flickered. Just for a second. Something soft, almost guilty, slipped through his mask. Then it was gone, buried under ice. Don't put words in my mouth. I nearly flipped the table. You literally said it yesterday. That afternoon, I decided to test the waters. If Oliver wouldn't let me go through paperwork, maybe provocation would work. In the novel, he was supposed to despise me for being clingy, weak, and useless. So what if I gave him the opposite? Cool indifference. I parked myself in the living room with a script in hand, ignoring him completely. I didn't even look up when he came home. I didn't ask about his day, didn't trail after him, didn't simper. He lingered by the doorway. You're reading? Yes. Flip page. Not watching TV? No flip. Not following me? I raised an eyebrow. Why would I follow you? His expression twitched. If I didn't know better, I'd say he looked unsettled, almost offended. Inwardly, I smirked. So you don't like clingy? Fine. Enjoy distant. Let's see how long you last, you overgrown dog. But then came the part one hadn't predicted. Later that night, I emerged from a shower, hair damp, towel draped over my shoulders. I expected Oliver to be gone. Off cheating, drinking, whatever Scum Gongs did off page. Instead, he was sitting on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen. Why are you still here? I asked cautiously. He looked up. His gaze lingered a little too long on me. My wet hair, my bare collarbone, the towel sliding dangerously low. My heart skipped. Not romantically. No, this was sheer panic. Go to bed, he said finally. His voice was rougher than usual. I clutched the towel tighter. You go to bed. For a long second, we just stared at each other, tension thick in the air. Then he sighed, stood, and brushed past me, his arm grazing mine. I froze, because yesterday he'd sworn, if I touch him, I'm a dog. And tonight, he touched me. Accidentally or not, he did. I collapsed onto the couch, towel still clutched like armor, my brain short-circuiting. He touched me. He touched me. He touched me. Which meant, congratulations, James. You've officially married a dog. I whispered to myself. I laughed then, loud, hysterical, until my sides hurt. But beneath the laughter, my chest ached, because I knew where this was supposed to go. I knew the script, the pregnancies, the miscarriages, the endless heartbreak. And if Oliver was already straying off the page, what did that mean for me? Could karma be rewritten? Or was it just waiting for the perfect moment to strike? I buried my face in my hands. I hate you. Past me. I hate you so much. I muttered. From upstairs, Oliver's footsteps paused, as if he'd heard me. Then silence. Chapter 3, when the script starts melting. I always thought hell would be fire, brimstone, and maybe my old editor nagging me for a new manuscript. Instead, hell turned out to be sitting in a luxury living room with a husband I'd written into existence, pretending I wasn't one mental breakdown away from chewing on the curtains. This was not how it was supposed to go. In my novel, Oliver treated his spouse like background furniture. He went out drinking, slept around, ignored the pathetic wife until tragedy struck. Easy, predictable scum behavior. But now, Oliver had ripped up 2 divorce agreements like they were kindergarten doodles, stared at me like I'd just stolen his soul, and brushed my arm on the way to bed like it was the most natural thing in the world. This wasn't scum behavior. This was weird. And weird was terrifying. Because the moment the script melted, I had no clue what fresh disaster karma had in store. The next morning, I tested him again. I dressed nicely for filming, simple shirt, fitted jeans, clean hair. Nothing outrageous. Still, when Oliver walked into the dining room and saw me, he froze. His eyes flicked over me once, slowly, before he sat down across the table. "What are you doing today?" he asked. I almost choked on my orange juice. He had never asked that in the novel. Not once. I'm going to set. I stammered. "Which set?" "Film. Drama. Acting." I waved a hand. "It's literally my job." He stared. "I'll come with you." The juice went down the wrong pipe. I coughed so hard I nearly died on the spot. "You'll what?" Oliver calmly reached for the newspaper. "I'll come. I want to see how my spouse spends his time." Spouse. He actually said spouse. Not burden. Not useless pretty face. Spouse. My brain short-circuited. Past me, what the hell kind of rewrite is this? On set, things only got worse. I was filming a light romance scene with Daniel, my co-star. In the script, our characters were supposed to share a sweet little moment. A hand on the shoulder, an affectionate smile. Nothing intense. We rehearsed once, twice. Third time, Daniel brushed my hair back a little too naturally. The director nodded approvingly. Then a shadow fell over us. Oliver. He stood at the edge of the set, arms crossed, expression thunderous. The poor director went pale. The crew scattered like mice. Daniel dropped his hand so fast it looked like I'd burned him. "Cut," Oliver said. The director stammered. "Mr. Oliver, with all due respect, we were—" Oliver didn't even glance at him. He looked at me, only at me. "Come here." I wanted to melt into the floor. "I'm working," I hissed under my breath. "Then work on something else. Not this." His voice was low, dangerous, and completely irrational. The director, bless his terrified soul, whispered, "We can film another scene for now." "Yes, that's fine." And just like that, my professional life died a little. Back in the dressing room, I cornered Oliver. "Are you insane? You can't just interrupt a shoot like that." His expression didn't change. "Why was he touching you?" "Because it's literally the script. Do you think dramas film themselves?" I threw my hands up. His jaw tightened. "I don't like it." I gaped. "You don't like it? You, Oliver, you're supposed to be cheating on me with models right now. You're supposed to hate me. That's how the I stopped myself just in time, biting my tongue. That's how the novel goes was not something I could say. He narrowed his eyes. That's how what? I forced a laugh. That's how marriages go. You hate me, I hate you, we sign the divorce papers. Done. Easy. Everyone moves on with their lives. Silence. Then, quietly, Oliver said, I don't hate you. My heart did a backflip. A horrible, terrifying backflip. What? I don't hate you, he repeated slower, as if tasting the words. I stared. My ears burned. My palms went sweaty. I wanted to scream into a pillow. This wasn't right. He wasn't supposed to like me. He was supposed to despise me so I could walk away clean. This wasn't just off-script. This was an entirely new genre. That night, I lay awake again, staring at the ceiling like it had all the answers. He didn't hate me. He said it out loud. So why did I feel something twist in my chest? I rolled over, pressing a pillow against my face. Don't be stupid, James. This is the man who was supposed to make you suffer. The man who, in the story, would watch you cry and walk away. Don't you dare feel anything when he says nice things. But then I remembered the way his voice had dipped low, almost soft. The way his eyes had lingered, not cruel, but searching. And damn it, Karma, you're sick. You gave me my own trash script, and now you're editing it for drama. What's next, a baby? Silence. Then, from the other side of the bed, Oliver's arm brushed mine again. Warm, solid, unmistakable. I froze. Slowly, he shifted closer. Just a fraction. Not enough to be scandalous, but enough. Enough to remind me that no matter what I wrote, no matter what I expected, the story had already begun to change. Chapter 4, The Jealous Dog Goes Public. In my original draft, this was the part where Oliver started cheating. He'd appear in tabloids with models, laugh with friends about his useless wife, and leave the poor spouse to cry alone at night. It was supposed to be tragic, emotional. Instead, my version of Oliver was apparently auditioning for the role of jealous dog number 1, and the only tragic part was me, stuck watching my carefully crafted script burn to ashes. On set, things got complicated. Today's scene was harmless, sweet even. My character had to run into Daniel's arms and laugh like a love-struck fool. That was it. No kiss, no bed scene, just wholesome romance. We rehearsed once, twice. Third time, Daniel's arm slid comfortably around my waist. Cut! What the hell is this? The shout didn't come from the director. I froze mid-laugh. The crew froze mid-breath. Oliver. He was standing at the edge of the set again. Sharp suit, colder glare, looking like he'd bought the entire production just to complain about it. Mr. Oliver, the director began nervously. Oliver ignored him. He marched straight over, grabbed my wrist, and yanked me out of Daniel's arms. I stumbled. What are you doing? Stopping nonsense, he said. Daniel blinked. It's just acting. Oliver's glare cut him off. The poor man practically melted into the floor. Meanwhile, I was dying inside. This wasn't in the book. This wasn't even in the blooper reel. Why is my Scum Gong suddenly cosplaying as a jealous husband? In the dressing room afterward, I slammed the door shut and rounded on him. Are you insane? Oliver crossed his arms. You let him touch you. It's just acting. This is a romance one. What do you think romance is? He narrowed his eyes. I don't care what it is. He touched you. I stared. You don't care? You? Oliver, are you hearing yourself? I'm your husband. No one touches you but me. His voice dropped, low and steady. My jaw dropped. My brain broke. My soul left my body. Pointed at him, sputtering. You said touching me makes you a dog. The corner of his mouth curved, just slightly. Then I'm a dog. Excuse me? What did he just say? I collapsed onto the chair, covering my face with my hands. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oliver, you idiot. You weren't supposed to turn into fanfiction. You were supposed to be an unredeemable bastard. Not this. Not the man standing there, looking like he'd murder the entire cast if I so much as smiled at them. Things only spiraled further from there. By the next day, Photos had leaked online. Oliver storming the set, Oliver grabbing my wrist, Oliver dragging me away like an overprotective lunatic. Headlines screamed, "Cold CEO Oliver claims his actor husband in front of entire crew." Dog blood drama. Billionaire jealous over co-star? Is this marriage contract real love after all? I buried my face in my phone. I'm dead. My career is dead. Everything is dead. Across the table, Oliver sipped his coffee like nothing had happened. "Don't you care?" I demanded. He shrugged. "Why should I? Because the whole world thinks you actually like me." He set the cup down, leaned closer, and said with terrifying calm, "Maybe I do." My heart stopped. My lungs forgot their job. My brain blue-screened. No, you can't say things like that. You're the villain. You're the trash husband. You don't get character development. And yet, the way he looked at me, not cruel, not mocking, just steady, like he meant it. It made my chest ache. That night I couldn't sleep. Again, I stared at the ceiling, whispering to myself, this wasn't how it's supposed to go. He was supposed to ruin me, not protect me, not shield me, not, God forbid, like me. Was this really my punishment? To live through my own bad writing, but backwards? Because if so, karma had a twisted sense of humor. I turned my head. Oliver was lying beside me, closer than usual. His breathing was slow, calm. In sleep, the sharp edges of his face softened, almost gentle. My throat tightened. Don't fall for this. Don't you dare fall for this. You know how the story ends. Pain, loss, tears, miscarriage after miscarriage until you break. That's the script. And yet, when he shifted in his sleep and his arm draped over my waist, I didn't move away. I should have, but I didn't. Instead, I closed my eyes and whispered, "You really are a dog." He murmured something in his sleep, face pressing against my shoulder. And for the first time since I woke up in this nightmare, I wasn't sure if that was a bad thing. Chapter 5: Public Property. The problem with karma is that it doesn't just bite you in private. No, it waits until you're standing in front of cameras, reporters, and half the population of the internet before sinking its teeth in. Case in point, the charity gala. In my original script, this was where Oliver attended the gala with a famous model on his arm, while his neglected spouse, me, stood off to the side, humiliated. Cue tears, cue sympathy, cue tragedy. Except in real life, Oliver showed up holding my hand and refused to let go. "Stop pulling," he muttered as we walked down the red carpet. "I'm not pulling, I'm escaping," I hissed, yanking at my wrist for the 10th time. His grip tightened. "You're my spouse. Stay put." I nearly tripped in my shiny shoes. "You can't just drag me like a handbag. People are taking photos." "Good, let them see," he said calmly. "Let them, oh my God." My life was over. Flashes went off like fireworks. The crowd murmured. Reporters shouted questions. "Mr. Oliver, is this your first public appearance with your husband? Are the rumors true? Do you two share the same bed? James, do you plan to retire from acting now that you've secured a billionaire?" Secured. Excuse me? I wanted to crawl into a sewer and never return. Meanwhile, Oliver, the scum husband of my trash novel, leaned down just enough to say into my ear, "Smile." I wanted to scream. Inside the gala, the humiliation continued. Everywhere we went, Oliver introduced me, personally, to everyone. "This is James," he told a group of investors. "This is my spouse," he told a famous actress. "This is the person you'll be seeing more of," he told a stunned director. And me? I stood there, plastering on the fakest smile of my life, praying for divine intervention. It didn't come. Things got worse when Daniel showed up. Of course, Daniel had to be at the gala, because karma loves suffering. He spotted me across the room, waved cheerfully, and started walking over. "James," he called. Oliver's hand clamped down on mine so hard I thought I'd lose circulation. "Do not smile back," he muttered. "I literally can't not smile. There are cameras," I whispered frantically. Daniel reached us, bright and clueless. "Hey, That scene last week turned out great. Which scene? Oliver interrupted, voice sharp as glass. Daniel blinked. The one where You touched him again, didn't you? My eyes nearly popped out of my head. Oliver. Daniel turned pale. It was acting. Oliver stepped forward, towering, and Daniel shrank like a kicked puppy. I jumped between them. Okay. Nobody's touching anybody. Daniel, go drink some champagne. Oliver. Stop trying to duel my co-star at a charity event. Later that night, when we finally got home, I collapsed onto the sofa like a corpse. You humiliated me. I groaned into the cushions. Oliver sat beside me, unbothered. I protected you. Protected me? From what? Compliments? He gave me that steady, unreadable look. From people who think they can take you away. My heart did an Olympic-level somersault. Don't you dare feel something, James. Don't you dare. I sat up, pointing at him. Listen, this isn't romantic. It's not protective. It's embarrassing. You're supposed to hate me. That was the whole point of our... I stopped myself before blurting story. He tilted his head. Do you want me to hate you? I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. Yes? No? Maybe? That's not the point. He leaned in, too close, voice quiet. Because I don't. Karma. Absolute karma. I shoved a pillow in his face and yelled, You're insane, before fleeing to the bedroom. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling again. My chest was tight. My thoughts were loud. My entire existence felt like a slow-motion car crash. He didn't hate me. He'd said it again. Publicly, even. He'd held my hand like it was natural. Introduced me like I was something to be proud of. But wasn't he supposed to be the villain? The scum husband? The heartless monster who tore the innocent spouse apart? If he wasn't that anymore, then what was he? And why did the idea of him meaning those words, I don't hate you, make my throat ache so badly? Just as I was about to drown in my own world, the door creaked open. Oliver walked in, quietly, like he belonged there. He didn't say anything, just slid into bed, close enough for his warmth to brush mine. I tensed. If you try to hold my hand again, I'll bite you. He chuckled softly. Then bite. My ears burned. I yanked the blanket over my head and muttered into the darkness, Dog! But I didn't move away. Not this time. Chapter 6, The Curse of My Own Plot. If life were fair, I'd get a medal for suffering through my own novel. Instead, I got nausea. Not the delicate, morning after too much wine nausea. No, this was lean over the sink, clutch your stomach, gag until your soul leaves your body nausea. I spat, wiped my mouth with the back of my hand, and stared at my pale reflection in the mirror. My brain, unfortunately, provided the perfect explanation. Oh great, here it comes. The famous dog blood setup. The one-night drunken stand between the useless spouse and the scum husband. I remembered writing it clearly. The original James had gone to a film crew banquet, downed too much cheap champagne to drown his worries, and staggered straight into Oliver's arms, or more accurately, into his bed. One drunken night, one careless mistake. That was the starting gun for the entire doom spiral of my trash plot. And now here I was, occupying this poor man's body after the tragedy-triggering event had already happened. At least I didn't have to experience the actual details of rolling around with Oliver. Thank every merciful God for transmigration timing. If I'd arrived before that night, I'd have to live with both the hangover and the shame of sleeping with this man voluntarily. I gripped the sink tighter and groaned. Why, James? Why did you write it like this? Talking about the dog, here comes it. James? Why are you making choking noises? Oliver's voice drifted lazily from the bedroom. I quickly wiped my mouth, glaring at the faucet as though it had betrayed me. I'm practicing my dying swan impression. Silence. Then heavy, suspicious footsteps. Oliver appeared in the doorway, his brows knitted. Tall, broad-shouldered, hair perfectly tousled as though he'd just walked out of an advertisement for smug bastard perfume. Are you sick? No, it's just bad shrimp. Very bad shrimp. The shrimp had it out for me, I said. His frown deepened. You don't eat shrimp. Damn it. Past James didn't eat shrimp. This body didn't eat shrimp. How was I supposed to keep track of this idiot's dietary preferences when I was too busy vomiting up foreshadowing? By the time Oliver insisted on hauling me off to the doctor, my panic level had skyrocketed. Because I knew. Oh, I knew. In my original draft, this was the beginning of the doom spiral. The part where the fragile spouse discovers he's pregnant, the scum husband doesn't care, and the cycle of misery begins. Except now, Oliver did care. He wasn't supposed to. He wasn't written to. And that made it worse. Because somehow this meant the script was already cracking, and I was the idiot author who had hard-coded surprise pregnancy into the plot like it was a fun character development tool. Congratulations, James. You're choking on your own trash writing. So there I was, sitting in a pristine white clinic, while Oliver paced like a caged wolf. Stop pacing, I muttered. Stop bouncing, he shot back. We glared at each other until the nurse called my name. The doctor, bless his oblivious soul, looked over the test results and smiled warmly. Congratulations. I froze. Oliver straightened. For what? The doctor beamed. You're pregnant. I laughed, like a man on the verge of a mental breakdown. Oliver grabbed my shoulders. James. I'm fine, this is fine. Totally fine. Haha. My karmic punishment has officially arrived. Great. Wonderful, I said. The doctor blinked. Excuse me? Nothing. Just so thrilled to be pregnant. I slapped on my fakest smile. Oliver's grip tightened. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said, voice cracking. On the ride home, silence stretched between us. Oliver drove with one hand, the other resting firmly over mine on my lap, like I might vanish if he let go. Finally, he said quietly, You don't seem happy. I stared out the window, heart pounding. Happy? Happy? How could I be happy when I knew how this script played out? Miscarriages, tears, hospital scenes. Me broken over and over while readers wept into their tissues. I clenched my fists. You did this, James. You wrote this nightmare. And now you're living it. I'm just surprised, I muttered. Oliver's thumb brushed my knuckles. We'll be fine. The way he said it, calm, steady, like a promise, made my throat ache. No, Oliver, we won't. Not if the story keeps dragging me along its rails. That night he hovered like a bodyguard. Sit here, he ordered, patting the sofa. I'm not an invalid, I grumbled. Drink this, he said, handing me warm milk. I hate milk, I said. Drink it anyway. By the time he tucked a blanket around me and adjusted the pillows, I wanted to scream. This is ridiculous. I can walk, talk, and function, you know? I snapped. He just looked at me, eyes dark and unreadable. I can't lose you. The words slammed into me harder than any punch. I swallowed. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's true. His gaze didn't waver. Later, when he'd finally fallen asleep beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling again. Pregnant. I was pregnant. The one plot device I'd sworn I'd never use again after writing that disaster of a novel. And here it was, laughing in my face. I pressed a hand to my stomach. Nothing was there yet, just silence. But my mind was loud. What if the cycle starts? What if I can't stop it? What if Oliver changes back into the monster I wrote him to be? I wanted to believe his words. I can't lose you. But the ghost of my own bad writing haunted me. Still, when he shifted in his sleep and pulled me closer, I didn't pull away. For now, I let myself be held. Chapter 7, Captive of the Jealous Dog. If anyone had told me that pregnancy meant losing basic human rights, I wouldn't have written it into the damn story. Seriously, I couldn't sneeze without Oliver appearing out of nowhere like a mother hen with muscles. Sit down. I was just standing. Too much. It was 3 seconds. Next thing I knew, I had a blanket over my knees, a pillow shoved behind my back, and a glass of juice shoved in my face. Drink this, Oliver ordered. I eyed it suspiciously. What is it? Carrot and beetroot juice. Good for the baby. I gagged. Good for killing me, you mean? Are you trying to assassinate me with vegetables? He didn't even blink. Drink. I groaned like a condemned man and took a sip. Tasted like dirt and regret. This is not marriage. This is prison. I muttered, wiping my mouth. Oliver's lips quirked. Then I'm the warden. The warden had also decided that I was banned from acting. Absolutely not, he said when I got a call about a reshoot. It's just a short scene. You're not going. I'm not porcelain, I snapped. You're more important than porcelain, he replied smoothly. I blinked. That's not even a logical comparison. Doesn't matter, you're staying home, he said. And that was that. Apparently, when you're carrying the next generation, your opinion becomes a suggestion at best. But the worst part wasn't the juice or the blanket prison. It was Oliver's constant jealousy. Case in point, Daniel came over one evening to drop off a script. A completely normal, professional thing. The moment he stepped into the living room, Oliver materialized behind me like a shadow. Daniel smiled nervously. Hi. Why are you here? Oliver asked. I rolled my eyes. He's delivering a script, not proposing marriage. Daniel quickly held up the folder. See? Just work. Oliver took it, flipped through it, then frowned at one particular page. This scene has you hugging James. Daniel froze. Yes. Cut it, Oliver said. Daniel looked like he wanted to dig a hole and crawl into it. But it's important for character development. Not as important as his spine. Cut it. Oliver snapped. I buried my face in my hands. Oh my God. You can't censor entire scripts just because of a hug. Oliver crossed his arms. Watch me. Later, after Daniel fled like a man escaping a crime scene, I turned on Oliver. You are unbearable, I yelled. He leaned against the wall, utterly calm. You're mine. I nearly choked. Excuse me? Did you just say that like you bought me at a clearance sale? His eyes softened, though, and he stepped closer. I mean it. You're mine. And I'll protect you. Both of you with everything I have. Damn it. Why did my heart do a weird flip when he said things like that? I looked away, mumbling, You're insane. Maybe, but I'm not letting you go, he said, leaning down just enough to brush his lips against my temple. That night, I tossed and turned, the words echoing in my head. You're mine. I'll protect you. It was absurd. This was Oliver, the character I'd written to be cruel and careless. The man who, in the original draft, had ignored his spouse until it was too late. But the way he looked at me now, the way he hovered and fussed and cared, was I rewriting the story, or was the story rewriting itself? Because if it wasn't, if the miscarriages I'd written came true, then no amount of jealousy or carrot juice in the world would save us. The next morning, Oliver caught me trying to sneak into the kitchen to cook breakfast. Caught you? He said, blocking the doorway like a 6-foot wall. I glared. I'm pregnant, not helpless. You're not cooking. Why not? Knives are dangerous. Oliver, I'm not going to stab myself making toast. Heat is dangerous too. It's toast. He didn't budge. Sit down. I'll cook. 5 minutes later, smoke was pouring out of the pan and the fire alarm was screaming. I smirked, arms crossed. Very protective. The baby will love growing up on charcoal. Oliver scowled, waving a towel at the smoke. Shut up. I laughed until my stomach hurt. And for a moment, just a moment, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, things could be different. Chapter 8, The Wheelchair Incoming. It happened. The ultimate humiliation. The death of my dignity. The day Oliver officially declared war against my legs. He brought a wheelchair to set. I had just arrived, coffee in hand, ready to smile politely at the director and pretend I wasn't secretly spiraling about my cursed pregnancy arc, when I heard the squeak of wheels behind me. I turned, and there it was, a glossy black wheelchair, pushed by none other than Oliver, who looked at me like he'd just brought me the crown jewels. Sit, he said firmly. I blinked. Excuse me? Sit. I'm pregnant, not paralyzed. Doesn't matter, less strain. Oliver said, already trying to wrestle my coffee away. The crew noticed immediately, because of course they did. Whispers spread like wildfire. Isn't that film Emperor James? Why is he in a wheelchair? God. Look at Oliver hovering. He's treating him like a national treasure, or a fragile teacup. Same thing. I wanted to die on the spot. My inner monologue screamed. I wrote tragedies, not slapstick comedy. Why has my life become an overprotective husband sitcom? I tried to stand up. Oliver pushed me back down with one hand. Stop struggling, he said. Stop babying me. I hissed. You are having a baby? He shot back, completely unbothered by the dozen eyes staring at us. I swear the boom mic operator almost choked on his gum. The director approached, expression caught between awe and panic. James, if you're not feeling well, we can reschedule. I am feeling well. This is unnecessary. I snapped. Oliver smoothly cut in. Reschedule if needed. He's not overexerting. The director nodded like an obedient puppy. Of course, of course. Health first. I buried my face in my hands. This is hell. A hell of my own creation. Why couldn't I have written him as a lazy husband instead of a tyrannical mother hen? The actual filming was worse. My scene required me to stand in the rain, looking heartbreakingly beautiful while crying on cue. You know, the usual. But Oliver refused to let me walk to the set. He wheeled me out, in the rain. An assistant tried to hand me an umbrella. Oliver swatted it away. He doesn't need that. He's going to melt? I yelled, water already dripping down my nose. The crew stared in silence. One whispered, wow, that's true devotion. Another muttered, devotion or insanity? Hard to tell. Mid-shoot, the director yelled, cut! And ran over, eyes wide. James, are you all right? Do you need to sit? I snapped. I've been sitting all day thanks to my lunatic husband. Oliver calmly placed a towel over my shoulders. Good. Then continue sitting. I nearly screamed. At lunch break, I tried to rebel. I'm going to the food truck, I announced, standing with my chest puffed like a revolutionary leader. Oliver's gaze darkened. No. Yes. Sit. No. The crew watched, captivated, as we locked eyes in a battle of wills. Finally, Oliver bent down, swept me up bridal style and carried me toward the food truck. Applause broke out. Actual applause. Oliver's so strong, someone gushed. This is better than the drama we're filming. I ship it. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. Later, when we were finally alone in the dressing room, I exploded. You're insane. Absolutely insane. Oliver just looked at me, arms crossed. You're reckless. I am not reckless. I'm just trying to live without being smothered. I paused, voice cracking. He softened, stepping closer. I just don't want anything to happen. To you. Or the baby. The words hit me in the chest like a weight. Because behind his stubbornness, behind the absurdity of the damn wheelchair, there was genuine fear. And it made my own fear bubble up. The miscarriages, the heartbreak, the cycle of pain I'd written. I clenched my fists, blinking rapidly. You're ridiculous. His hand brushed my cheek, gentle this time. Maybe, but I'm not losing you. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling again. Oliver's words replayed in my head, tangled with the laughter of the crew, the whispers, the applause. I should have been angry, embarrassed, furious, but instead, my heart thudded with something dangerously close to hope. Maybe the story could change. Maybe the ending didn't have to be the same as the one I wrote. Chapter 9, Oliver's Jealous Dog Mode. You know what's worse than an overprotective husband? An overprotective husband with Wi-Fi. Because apparently Oliver had nothing better to do than monitor my online presence like an obsessed fan. And that's how World War III began, with one innocent selfie. Daniel, sweet oblivious Daniel, posted a photo of us on his feed. It was harmless. Just us holding the new script, smiling like two professionals. My caption was something bland like, excited for this project. But no, of course not. Oliver saw it, and the gates of hell opened. He stormed into the studio like a man possessed, eyes blazing. James. His voice was low, dangerous. I froze mid-conversation with the makeup artist. Yes. Why? Is there a picture of you smiling at Daniel on the internet? Oliver demanded. The makeup artist quickly excused herself, muttering something about sudden errands. Coward. It was just a selfie, we're colleagues. People take photos. That's how cameras work. I said, trying for nonchalance. Oliver's jaw clenched. You're smiling too much. I blinked. Are you regulating my facial expressions now? Yes. Before I could retort, he stalked across the room, grabbed me by the wrist, and pulled me flush against him. And then he kissed me. Hard. The room went silent. Dead silent. The crew who hadn't fled were now staring, wide-eyed. Daniel, who had just walked back in with a coffee, nearly dropped it all over the floor. Oliver broke the kiss but didn't let go. One arm locked around my waist like I'd run off with the catering table if given the chance. He's my husband, Oliver said simply, voice firm enough to shake the walls. There was a pause. Then one of his so-called friends snorted. Oliver, you're whipped. Yeah, completely gone. Another laughed. Even trained dogs don't stick this close. The laughter spread. Oliver didn't even blink. He looked at them coolly, like a king tolerating peasants. So what? He's my husband. Of course I'm whipped. He said. I wanted to sink into the floor. Oliver, that was in public. I hissed, shoving at his chest. Good, now they know you're taken, he said smoothly. This isn't a territory war. I'm not land to be claimed. You're better than land. Land doesn't smile like that, Oliver said without irony. I slapped a hand over my face. Oh my God, did I just create my own fanfiction monster? Daniel cleared his throat awkwardly. I'll just go. Good idea, Oliver said sharply. The moment Daniel was out of sight, I whirled on Oliver. You are insane. Absolutely insane. He just smirked. Maybe, but you're smiling now. I'm smiling because if I don't, I'll commit a crime. I shot back. Later that day, the incident went viral. Hashtags popped up. Hashtag Oliver the Whipped. Hashtag Jealous CEO. Hashtag Kiss of Possession. One headline even read, Oliver proves he's the nation's top husband. Boldly declares love on set. I nearly threw my phone across the room. This is humiliating, I groaned. Oliver, lying next to me on the bed, glanced over. I like it. You like that the whole world thinks you're a jealous lunatic? He shrugged. They're not wrong. I sighed, sinking into the pillows. This was absurd. Utterly absurd. But when I glanced sideways at him, at his arm draped around me, at the quiet steadiness in his gaze, I felt that damn flicker of warmth again. And that scared me more than his jealousy ever could. Because in the original story, his affection had come too late. Always too late. I whispered under my breath, so soft he couldn't hear. If it's going to be like this, then don't be too late this time. The next morning, Oliver handed me breakfast in bed. Eat, he said. I eyed it warily. You didn't cook this, did you? He smirked. I learn from my mistakes. I poked at the food with my fork. Are you sure? Because the last time you learned, the fire alarm filed for a restraining order. His smirk widened. Eat, James. And somehow, despite everything, I did. Chapter 10, the script breaks completely. In the original draft, this was the chapter where Oliver began his grand descent into trashhood. The moment readers were supposed to scream, throw their phones, and call me a sadistic hack. Why would you make Oliver cheat? They cried in the comment section. James deserves better. And did I listen? No. I doubled down. Made Oliver colder. Made James suffer. Made the angst delicious. But now, standing in the living room, Oliver staring at me like I was the sun and the bomb about to blow him apart, I realized something horrifying. The script had completely broken. It started when I tried to test him. I'd spent the morning brooding over my coffee, remembering the exact line I wrote in the original. The one where Oliver tells James, "You're a burden. Don't expect me to love you." So I looked up at him, forced a brittle smile, and said lightly, "Oliver, wouldn't your life be easier if you weren't stuck with me?" He froze. I thought he'd scoff, brush me off, maybe roll his eyes. Instead, his hand gripped the table edge so tightly his knuckles whitened. "Don't say that." His voice was low, shaking. I blinked. "It's true though, isn't it? I'm inconvenient. You could walk away anytime." "James, don't say that." He came closer, each step heavy, deliberate. His gaze pinned me. "You don't regret marrying me?" I asked, quieter now. "Regret? I regret not protecting you sooner. I regret every second you think you're disposable. I regret." His voice cracked. He swallowed hard. "I'm terrified of losing you," he whispered. And just like that, the ground dropped out beneath me. Wait, no, that's not the line. The line is, "You're a burden." Not, "Whatever the hell this is." I felt my brain short-circuiting. My trash novel was collapsing. My once reliable outline was on fire. My so-called villainous husband had mutated into a love-struck fool. And worst of all, part of me liked it. I tried to salvage dignity. Terrified? Really? What am I? A horror movie? I scoffed. He didn't even crack a smile. "No, you are my spouse and you are pregnant," he said softly. "You're ridiculous," I said, forcing a smirk. He looked up. "If caring for you makes me ridiculous, then I'll be ridiculous every day." The smirk died on my lips. God help me. He was rewriting everything. Later, when he finally pulled me into his arms, I didn't resist. His embrace was too tight, like he thought I'd vanish if he let go. "I'm not going anywhere," I murmured, half to comfort him, half to reassure myself. He buried his face against my shoulder. "Promise." I hesitated, because promises were dangerous. Promises were fragile. But his voice was so small. "Promise," I whispered. That night, lying in bed, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, listening to his even breathing beside me. This isn't how the story was supposed to go, I thought. He was supposed to betray me, abandon me, hurt me until I broke. But instead, he was confessing fear, showing me cracks, holding me like I was the only thing anchoring him to this world. The trash novel was gone. In its place was something terrifyingly new, something I hadn't written, something I couldn't control. Hope. I rolled over, watching his sleeping face. "You're making a fool out of me," I whispered. And for the first time, the thought didn't taste bitter. Tasted like relief. Chapter 11, The Confession Twist. Marriage, in my trashy novel, was a weapon. The powerful ML would marry the MC only to humiliate him, keep him trapped, parade him like an accessory while secretly chasing other lovers. Dog blood drama, right? Readers lapped it up. But sitting here in Oliver's living room, watching him flip through baby catalogs with more intensity than a CEO reviewing merger contracts, I couldn't reconcile that version of him with this one. The man who once declared, "If I touch him, I'm a dog," was currently comparing pastel crib colors and muttering, "Mint green feels calm, but light blue says classic. Which do you prefer?" I stared at him, horrified. "Are you nesting?" He didn't even glance up. "I'm preparing. For the baby? For you." His tone was maddeningly matter-of-fact. And just like that, the question that had been rotting in my brain for weeks slipped out before I could stop it. "Oliver, why did you marry me if you hated me?" My voice cracked. The catalog froze in his hands. For once, the great Oliver, cold, unshakable, always in control, looked like someone had sucker-punched him. I swallowed hard. "You said it yourself. You were disgusted. You made sure I knew it. So why? Why bother marrying me at all?" The silence stretched. I half expected him to laugh it off, to sneer like the Oliver I'd written. That would have been easier, wouldn't it? But instead, he slowly closed the catalog, set it aside, and looked straight at me. "I didn't hate you." His voice was low, steady. I blinked. "Excuse me? I didn't hate you. I just didn't know what love felt like. So when I felt something for you, I thought it was weakness. disgust. Something I needed to deny. He repeated, firmer this time. Wait, hold on. I raised both hands like I was directing traffic. You're telling me, glaring at me across the breakfast table, refusing to sit on the same couch, and announcing in public that I wasn't worthy, was because you had a crush? This was off script. I didn't even write something like a crush. His jaw tightened, as if the word crush was too undignified for his CEO image. It wasn't a crush. It was complicated. He broke off, searching for words. I snorted. Complicated? You practically bullied me with your feelings. I was an idiot, he admitted bluntly. I froze. My brain genuinely short-circuited. Did you just call yourself an idiot? Yes. Say it again. He glared. Don't push it. The thing was, I believed him. For the first time, I really truly believed him. But if Oliver wasn't my villain in this novel anymore, then who was he? My throat tightened. Oliver. He leaned forward before I could finish, eyes dark, expression serious. James, I married you because, even if I didn't understand it back then, I couldn't imagine you with anyone else. And I couldn't stand the thought of not having you. His voice softened, and then he kissed me. Not the desperate, possessive kind of kiss that belonged to his jealous dog mode. Not the public, show-off kisses he used to stake his claim. But a soft one, gentle, almost hesitant, like he was terrified I'd vanish if he pressed too hard. My heart gave a painful lurch, because this wasn't the Oliver I'd written. This was someone new, someone real. When he finally pulled back, I sat there blinking like an idiot. I buried my face in his chest and groaned. God, I really did create my own fanfiction monster. He chuckled, resting his chin on my hair. If I'm your monster, then you're stuck with me forever. That's not romantic, I muttered. It wasn't supposed to be. Damn him. Damn him and his ridiculous timing and his soft kisses and his stupid, earnest eyes. For the first time since transmigrating, I thought maybe, just maybe, the ending I'd written didn't matter anymore. Because the story we were living was already something else entirely. Chapter 12, Complications and Growth. I had written it once. That horrible scene. The MC bent over in agony, Oliver's cold indifference, and the cruel cycle of miscarriage after miscarriage due to mental breakdowns. I wrote it for maximum tragic, thinking readers would cry buckets and shower me with 5-star reviews. Back then, it was just words on a screen. Just plot. Now it was my body, my life, and when the sharp pang twisted through my stomach that morning, I nearly dropped dead from panic. Oliver, I croaked, clutching my side. He was across the room on a phone call mid-sentence with some poor executive. He froze, turned, and I swear the phone slipped from his hand like he was in a soap opera. In a blink, he was at my side, lifting me bridal style before I could even explain. Oliver, don't talk, don't move, don't breathe too hard. You're going to the hospital. His voice was tight, his jaw clenched. It's probably just gas. I tried to joke, but he wasn't listening. No risks. The next thing I knew, he was storming through traffic like a general leading troops into war. I sat in his arms, mortified, as his driver floored it. Oliver, put me down. I can walk. No. People are staring. Good. Let them see how important you are. I groaned. The hospital visit was humiliating. Nurses whispered the moment we entered, "Isn't that James? The famous actor. And isn't that his husband, the billionaire CEO carrying him like a glass doll?" I buried my face in his chest, wishing for a meteor to strike us both down. The doctor ran tests. Long minutes ticked by. Finally, he looked up with a calm smile. "It's just mild strain, overexertion, nothing serious. But he needs rest," he said. I sighed in relief. Oliver, on the other hand, did not look relieved. He looked like the doctor had just sentenced him to life in prison. Mild strain? That nearly killed him. Oliver repeated, voice dark. The doctor blinked. "Sir, I assure you, no more work, no more stress. He doesn't lift a finger," Oliver declared, cutting him off. The doctor nodded cautiously. "That would be wise." "See." Oliver turned to me triumphantly. as if the doctor had decreed I should live inside bubble wrap. I smacked my forehead. The next days were unbearable. Every time I stood up, sit. Every time I reached for a glass of water, I'll do it. Every time I so much as sighed, what's wrong? Do you need a doctor? Oliver, I am pregnant, not made of tissue paper. I snarled on the third day. His eyes softened, but his grip on my hand tightened. James, I won't let you go through what you wrote. I froze. He didn't know about the novel, of course. He thought it was just our life. But his words cut deep, slicing through guilt I'd been burying since the day I transmigrated. Because he was right. I had written this suffering. I had thrown characters into misery for cheap novel, never imagining what it would feel like. Now I knew. Now I was terrified. One night, I woke up to find him still awake, watching me with shadows under his eyes. Why aren't you asleep? I whispered. He reached out, brushing hair from my forehead like I was fragile glass. I'm afraid something will happen while I'm not looking. I laughed weakly. That's not how biology works, Oliver. I don't care. I won't lose you. His voice cracked, and for the first time, I saw fear etched raw in his face. This was not the arrogant scum I wrote, the one who dismissed the MC's pain, who carried on affairs without guilt. This was a man shaking at the thought of my absence. Something in me twisted painfully, because it hit me Oliver had grown. Not because I rewrote him, not because the plot changed, but because he chose to. And just like that, the fear eased. Not gone, never gone, but lighter. Because for once, I wasn't facing the dog blood cycle alone. Chapter 13, The Birth Chaos. I had imagined a lot of scenarios for this moment. Me stoic and brave, facing labor like a hero. Oliver, calm and composed, holding my hand, whispering sweet nothings, and proving he'd finally grown into a reliable husband. Reality, Oliver fainted before the doctor even said the word push. It started with him pacing the delivery room like a tiger on caffeine. Doctor, are you sure it's safe? What if something goes wrong? What if? Mr. Oliver, the doctor interrupted, adjusting his mask with the calm patience of someone used to hysterical husbands. Your partner is the one giving birth. You need to calm down. I am calm, Oliver shouted, then promptly keeled over like a felled tree. There was a loud thunk as he hit the floor. Oliver, you've got to be kidding me, I yelled, half sitting up on the bed despite contractions squeezing the life out of me. The nurses rushed to check on him. One muttered under her breath, first one down, and it's not the patient. I wanted to cry, or laugh, or maybe both. Unbelievable. I'm the one in labor and my husband's out here auditioning for Sleeping Beauty. I groaned, clutching my belly. The contractions came harder. Sweat poured down my back. Mr. James, focus. You need to breathe with me. Don't mind him. The doctor said firmly, don't mind him? That idiot is supposed to be holding my hand, not taking a nap on the floor. I snapped, panting. A nurse giggled behind her mask. If I had the strength, I would have thrown a bedpan at Oliver's unconscious body. Somewhere between screaming obscenities and clenching my teeth so hard I thought they'd break, I started laughing through the pain. Because this was exactly my karma, wasn't it? I'd written countless birth scenes, tragic miscarriages, noble sacrifices, rivers of tears. Not once did I write a husband fainting like a delicate flower. But here I was, living the parody version. And maybe that was better. At some point, Oliver stirred. He blinked groggily from the floor, then bolted upright with the kind of speed only pure panic provides. James, is it done? Did I miss it? You are the worst. Cry later. Get up and hold my damn hand. I gasped through another contraction. He scrambled to my side, grabbing my hand like it was a lifeline. His face was pale, his eyes wet. He was shaking worse than me. James, I'm sorry. I'll never faint again. Good. Because if you do, I'll murder you after this baby comes out. I snarled, then screamed again as the doctor yelled, push! It was chaos. Pure, unfiltered chaos. Me cursing like a sailor. Oliver crying harder than I was. The doctor trying to maintain authority over what looked like a tragicomedy stage play. James, you're so strong. Stronger than me. I'm useless, Shut up, Oliver. I screamed, squeezing his hand hard enough to crush bone. If you cry harder than the baby, I swear I'll... And then, there it was. The sound that ended everything. A sharp, clear cry filled the room. My baby's cry. The pain blurred, replaced with something raw and overwhelming. My chest ached. My eyes stung. The nurses worked quickly, cleaning, wrapping, placing the tiny, squirming bundle in my arms. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. Hi! He is so beautiful. I whispered to the baby, voice trembling. Beside me, Oliver collapsed, not from fainting this time, but from sobbing. Big, messy, unrestrained sobs. He buried his face against my shoulder, clutching both me and the baby as if we'd vanish if he let go. James, thank you. Thank you for giving me, us, this, he choked. I blinked at him in disbelief. You're crying harder than the baby. I don't care, let me cry, he said between hiccups. Couldn't help it. I laughed, tears mixing with the laughter until I was shaking too. For a long time, the three of us just sat there in the aftermath. The baby's soft cries fading into little hiccups. Oliver's sobs finally quieting as he pressed kisses to my temple, to the baby's tiny head, to my hand. And me, trying to reconcile everything. I had written tragedy, coldness, abandonment, but life had rewritten it into something else. Something messy, ridiculous, and unexpectedly beautiful. Maybe that was the real lesson. Maybe karma wasn't about punishment. It was about giving me the chance to see what love could be when you stopped writing cruelty for the sake of views. James, I promise you, I'll never let you regret this, Oliver whispered, still sniffing, still trembling. I glanced down at the baby, then at him, my ridiculous, fainting husband. And for once, I believed him. Chapter 14, The New Ending. Our mansion looked like it had been remodeled by a paranoid squirrel with a bubble wrap addiction. Every corner was padded, every sharp edge covered. Even the table legs were wrapped in so much cushioning it looked like we were preparing for a professional wrestling match, not raising a child. I stared at the padded staircase in mute horror. Oliver, did you actually bubble wrap the banister? Yes, our child will not suffer a single scratch under my watch, Oliver said proudly, holding the baby in his arms like a sacred treasure. Our child is 3 weeks old. He doesn't even crawl. The most dangerous thing in his life right now is you, because you nearly smother him with kisses. I muttered. Oliver gasped. Excuse me, that's called affection. It's called oxygen deprivation, I corrected, deadpan. The absurdity didn't stop there. The nursery now looked like a NASA laboratory. The crib was surrounded by baby monitors from 3 different brands. He'd hired 2 nannies, a night nurse, and, God help me, a security guard. Oliver, why does our son have a bodyguard? Is he a celebrity already? I said slowly, pinching the bridge of my nose. Oliver puffed his chest out. He's my son. That makes him the most important person in the world. We can't be too careful. By that logic, shouldn't I also have a bodyguard? I said. You do me, Oliver replied, and leaned in to kiss my cheek. I choked. You're unreliable. That night, I reached my breaking point. When I went to make tea, I found the entire kitchen bubble wrapped too. The kettle was covered. The handles. Even the fridge door had a cushion strapped to it. Oliver, if you bubble wrap my teapot one more time, I swear to God, divorce papers, I shouted. Oliver froze mid-step, the baby balanced on his shoulder. His eyes went wide and wet instantly, like I just threatened to abandon him in the rain. You wouldn't. I rolled my eyes. I'm joking. But seriously, this house looks like a padded cell. Oliver set the baby down in his crib, then strode over, grabbed me by the waist, and silenced my complaints with a kiss so deep it knocked the sarcasm right out of me. When he finally let me breathe again, I panted, You can't just weaponize kissing whenever I threaten divorce. Yes, I can, because you'll never leave me, he said smugly, nuzzling my neck. And damn it, he was right. Later, when the baby was asleep and Oliver was passed out beside me, I stared at the ceiling and let my thoughts wander. I used to think this story was trash. My trash. A shallow, tragic plot where pain equaled drama and characters were just puppets. But somehow, inside this rewritten life, the trash had turned into something else. It was messy. It was ridiculous. It was Oliver fainting in the delivery room, and me threatening divorce over bubble wrap, and both of us crying harder than the baby. It was real. And maybe, just maybe, it was the kind of ending I'd never been brave enough to write before. The baby stirred in his crib, letting out a soft wail. I got up before Oliver could wake, because if he did, the man would probably smother the poor child with 10 more blankets for warmth. I scooped the tiny bundle into my arms, rocking him gently. His face scrunched, then relaxed as he calmed against my chest. Hey, little one, you've got an overgrown Papa Bear as your father, I whispered. Behind me, I felt Oliver's arms wrap around my waist. His chin pressed into my shoulder, his voice husky with sleep. You talk to him like he understands, Oliver murmured. He does. He's smarter than both of us combined, I whispered back. Oliver chuckled, kissing the top of my head. You're probably right. For a long moment, the three of us just stayed like that, me holding the baby, Oliver holding me. And in my head, one final thought formed, so clear it almost felt like the words were writing themselves on a page. Maybe this trash novel wasn't so trash after all.